Miscarriage, divorce, depression, financial hardship. These are just a few of the unexpected challenges that can occur in this life. Let's talk about some powerful steps you can take to overcome the unexpected challenges of life. You can come out on the other side of unexpected challenges stronger, wiser, better, and restored. All of that is coming up next. I never thought this would be my story. These were the words my heart whispered to God in agony one night. Emotionally, I was reeling from an unexpected reality that I could not believe was mine. Like I had expectations for my life, just like anyone else. More specifically, expectations of building a family the moment I was ready. Here I was, face to face with the disappointment of realizing that this wouldn't be easy, at least for me. Although I was disappointed and in pain, I also knew that I just could not stay there. I had to figure out a way out. I had to learn how to function despite my grief. I had to soothe the heart that I literally felt like was ripped outside of my chest. I had to figure out how to navigate the unexpected challenges and in the midst of all of the turmoil and all of the disappointment, somehow find peace. But just like everything else, I know I'm not alone. Everyone experiences unexpected challenges and it looks different for all of us. No matter your unexpected challenge, I want to share this truth with you. You're not defeated. You can find peace. You can heal. And trust me, you will smile again. But in the meantime, these are some steps that helped me to get to the other side. And I want to share it with you because I really believe that it would help you also. The first one is to rest. Last year, I underwent a minimally invasive surgery abroad. Now, surgery, no matter how minimally invasive it is, it introduces trauma to the body. So of course, the doctors recommended I should stay on bed rest once I left the hospital to allow my body to heal. But since I was abroad, I wanted to be tourist, right? So as soon as I was released from the hospital, I wanted to buy food and of course souvenirs to take back home for my family. So here I ended up in the parking lot, struggling to get out of the car. I started to walk, and as I looked around, I noticed everyone is like speeding past me. I tried to pick up speed, but I just couldn't. My body was not allowing me to walk any faster. I was moving like a turtle. As a matter of fact, every time I tried to walk faster, I experienced pain. And let me tell you, that shook me. Now, before this, I've never had surgery of any kind, so I didn't understand just how fragile my body was. My body was traumatized, and as a result, it became overly sensitive to pain. We also experience increased sensitivity on the heels of emotional trauma, especially sudden trauma, something that we didn't see coming. Rather than resting, one of our greatest temptations is to continue life as if the trauma never happened. This is because we are so used to moving. Sometimes we view slowing down as a weakness. We feel like we have obligations to fulfill and then, life gotta go on. But the challenge is when a wound is still fresh and raw, we become overly sensitive to triggers. This leaves us much more open to offenses, and oftentimes we lack the ability to be graceful to others. We struggle to differentiate someone's intentions towards us and their actions. In other words, we feel more than we normally would. We're sensitive. This is why you need to take a break. You need to rest and lay low after an unexpected challenge. For instance, if a woman recently experienced a miscarriage or maybe just having challenges with infertility, she'll be triggered at the sight of anything that reminds her of the loss. She may find offense in online content displaying loss of that kind. She'll be sensitive. She may even be sensitive to good news such as persons celebrating pregnancy or birth. It's because those things will remind her of what she can't have or what she's lost. Now, the intent of the persons around her is not to hurt her. However, while experiencing emotional trauma, it can be difficult to think about a person's intention versus their action. Once again, this is why, in my view, I believe emotional rest and time to heal is mandatory after experiencing an emotional loss or an unexpected challenge. Rest is essential to acknowledge and stabilize your reeling emotions. So that means for a time, you may need to reduce all the extracurricular activities. You may need to take a few minutes or hours alone a day, like to just relax and to clear your head and to just feel and process what you have just gone through. You may not be able to have as many conversations as you're used to. You may not be able to be the life of the party and to be to every social gathering. You may actually need to take a break from social media for a time. Relieve yourself of the pressure to keep up appearances and just take time to focus on you. Take care of yourself by resting. Moving on to the next tip, that is to regain strength. Now, there are times in the midst of really unexpected blows, you could feel like you can't even find the strength to move forward, or even sometimes find the strength to breathe. As a matter of fact, you may be trying to open your mouth and pray, but you can't seem to find the words. There was a moment in my unexpected challenge where I was really, really weak. Like, my strength was so depleted and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to pray, but I begged God and I said these words. I said, Lord, I don't have the strength to get out of this pit, but I have just enough strength to lift my hands to you and say, help me. So all I'll say is help me. And somehow that was enough. That was when I started to experience a turnaround emotionally. You see, even without all the answers, at the very least, I know that God does his best work in our weaknesses. In my dark pit, I didn't need to find strength. I needed to find God and learn to trust him. Strength would be a byproduct of this. 2 Corinthians 2:9 tells us all about this. If you're weak right now, and you found yourself in a place of worry, hopelessness, discouragement, depression, anxiety, and weariness, I want to tell you that God truly desires to take that burden away from you. Rather than carrying the weight of worrying about a situation that you can't change, you can make an intentional decision to give your concerns, your fears, your pains, your worries to God, because he is more than able to carry it. There are several ways you can do this. One of those ways may be sharing with God. And this looks like talking to God about the situation. Like, just imagine that God walked into the room and he was sitting next to you, just like how I'm looking at you. Share your heart with him. Ask him to help you to trust him and allow him to work in the areas you can control. Allow him to be your strength right now while you're weak. After you would have prayed and talked to God, guard your mind against negative thoughts and worries. Practice stopping those words dead in the track. Every time it comes to your mind, speak out loud. Declare words about hope. Declare words saying what you want to see. So say, I will not worry, but rather I will trust God. And as you do this enough, you begin to believe the words that you are constantly repeating out of your mouth. You can also challenge yourself to not look at your own ability, but rather look at God's ability. Accept that this challenge is beyond your control. Like, you cannot change your situation. You cannot heal yourself. You cannot take your pain away because you're not God. But God can do all of this. He can do more than you could ever ask, think, or even imagine. Every time you start to look at your own ability, remind yourself that I can't, but God can. And as you do this, supernaturally, day by day, God will give you strength and take your burdens away. I don't know exactly how it happens, but I do know that as we trust God, in time, he refreshes us and he just restores our strength. Now, before I move on to the next step for overcoming unexpected challenges, if you want to learn more about hearing the voice of God, then make sure you click the link in the description box below, because I have a free guide, God Still Speaks, available. This guide will walk you through how God speaks and how you can learn to hear his voice. So again, click the link in the description box below. Now that that's out of the way, let's move on to the next step for overcoming life's challenges, which is to get practical and strategize. I want to share this story with you that really inspired me. I don't know if you've ever heard the popular funeral song, It Is Well With My Soul. And if you haven't, then just Google it, because that's what everybody does in this day and age when they don't have the answer to something, right? But It Is Well With My Soul was written by Horatio Spafford. Horatio Spafford was a businessman, lawyer, husband, and family man in the 1800s. I know, that's a very long time ago. In 1871, Horatio Spafford lost a fortune in a Chicago fire. Tragedy number one. Not too long after, his 4-year-old son died of scarlet fever. Tragedy number two. He had 4 daughters surviving and of course his wife. So in 1873, the remaining members of the Spafford family of 6 planned a voyage from the US to Europe on vacation. They were trying to move forward, I guess, and have some semblance of normalcy. However, there was a wrench thrown into their travel plans. Due to unplanned business arising, Mr. Spafford had to remain in Chicago while his wife and 4 daughters proceeded on their journey to Europe. After about 4 days of travel, the vessel with Horatio's entire immediate family collided with another vessel and it sunk. His wife, Anna Spafford, survived, but tragically, their 4 daughters all died. Now, I can't even begin to fathom that amount of grief and pain that this family was experiencing. As a matter of fact, even talking about it, my heart just feels heavy. I'm not sure of the exact time, but eventually Mr. Spafford went on to write and compose the song, It Is Well With My Soul. Listen, now this is the part that blows my mind. A song that was birthed out of grief would be used as an anthem to comfort those in grief throughout the ages. I mean, over a century later. This is one of the ways that God takes the ugly, bad, and worst situations in our life and somehow brings it out for good. I mean, only God could do that. Anyone can take good out of a good situation, right, and just make it better. But it's only God that can take the worst situations of our life, the things that are so unfathomable, the things that hurt us to our core, but somehow He can weave it and mold it, that it can work together for good, that something beautiful can be birthed out of it. And this is how we know that we need God, because we can't do that for ourselves. It's only God that can take the pain, that could bring beauty out of ashes, that could bring joy out of the most painful experiences. Now, Horatio could have just cursed God, right? He could have been like, forget about it. I done tried this ain't working, you know? He could have been consumed by his grief, and many people probably wouldn't even blame him for that. Like, some people watching this would have been like, you know what, deuces, Jesus, we good. Yes, whether consciously or unconsciously, he found a strategy that led him to healing, and this was writing through his grief. Deep grief and loss of any kind can lead to a path of wallowing in sorrow. There's nothing wrong with wallowing, but it's tempting to want to stay and wallow forever. And the word tells us there's a time to grieve and a time for joy. It's important to give yourself time to rest, be strengthened, and grieve. But there is also a time and a season to come out of that dark place. There is more in you. There is more life to live. God wants to use this experience somehow for His good, even though you can't see it, even though you can't feel it. This will take some effort on your part, because healing isn't just like boom, it happens. Healing can be achieved through developing and executing strategies that lead you down the path of healing. And a lot of time we just think as time goes by that it will just happen naturally. But your participation is necessary in healing. Otherwise, you run into the danger of walking around feeling better, but deep inside you have issues that are compounding and are just getting worse over time, and you're not realizing it because you're not healing properly. Now, every person is unique, and our uniqueness causes God to lead us in different directions of healing. With God, you can be led to a specific strategy of healing for you. I know that God loves you, and He wants to give you information. He'll place an impression in your heart, a feeling, an idea in your mind, or even like the church folks love to say, something will just drop in your spirit. Or maybe He might talk to you right through this video. Some of these impressions or ideas that may drop in your heart or in your spirit may be seeking therapy, joining a support group or community, whether that's in church or outside of church. It may be sharing your heart with a trusted friend that can help you through your moments of grief. It may be journaling or writing like Mr. Spafford experienced. It may be meditating on God's word daily and finding peace in that. It may be exercising, taking long walks. It may be moving physically to another space, city, or country. It may be a combination of these things. I can't tell you exactly which strategy will be for you, but I can tell you that as you seek God, I believe with all my heart, He will show you. Sometimes the thoughts or the ideas may be really, really subtle that you even miss it. But nonetheless, it's important to just be aware, be sensitive, listen for His voice, and identify the strategies that are best for you so that you can start your journey to healing. The next step I have for you when it comes to overcoming the unexpected challenges of life is to execute. Now, I know this sounds like a given, but statistics have shown that 20% of the adult population are chronic procrastinators. You heard that correctly. Chronic. That's really high. That means for every room of 10 people, at least 2 of them procrastinate excessively. I know this should go without saying once again, but in case you are a part of that number, that 1 or that 2, this is your sign to execute on the strategy for healing that God has given you. Don't sit on it. I mean, I get it. I understand that walking and moving forward, it's hard. And I empathize with you. I truly, truly do. But the longer you live, you realize that feelings are terrible leaders. They're indecisive, they're overbearing, and they lack all sense of wisdom. Don't allow your feelings of sadness and disappointment and discouragement and just pain in general to lead your life. Make a habit of acknowledging them because they are important, but still implementing what you know is the best decision for you. There's no quick trick. I don't have no quick guide to doing this other than simply practice executing despite how you feel. Day by day as you do it, you get better at it. Feelings of relief usually always follows actions and not the other way around. The next step to overcoming the unexpected challenges of life is reflection. I bet you didn't see that one coming, right? But just stick with me. So after you've rested, after you've allowed God to strengthen you, after you've strategized a path to healing, after you've executed this strategy for some time, you would be well on your way to healing. However, you need to take time for reflection. One of my all-time favorite quotes is, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards." And that was by Steve Jobs. This is because hindsight is always 20/20. You learn lessons in hindsight. There is clarity and wisdom that can be identified when you reflect and dissect what you've experienced. While you were in the situation, you were probably waist deep in pain. You were probably in survival mode, but now that the dust is settled, you can see so much better. As you reflect and gain wisdom, inevitably this leads to growth. If you decide not to reflect, more than likely you'll end up missing the lessons that were really meant to change you. So imagine going through all that you did and didn't allow this experience to process and mature you. Like, that's wild. Like, something gotta come out of all this pain, right? Something gotta come out of it so that you don't end up going in the same circles over and over. Some of the good that can emerge from reflection is you get an opportunity to identify your weaknesses and make a conscious decision to grow stronger in those areas. You get an opportunity to see how you can make better decisions about your past mistakes and then how you can just move forward in general. You get to obtain a stronger awareness of who you are. Every challenge, as you grow through it, brings you closer to the person that you're meant to be. And you get to help others who would have experienced similar circumstances because you can empathize with them on another level and you can help guide them through. Reflection is pivotal. I want to tell you, I know this is a heavy topic. I know it's tough, but know that I am right here in the ring fighting with you. And with God, we will all get through this stronger, better, and at peace. At this point of the video, you might be wondering how I navigated the unexpected blows in my life. And in this video, I share a little bit about that and what I've been up to over the past year and a half. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Until next time, be strong, be courageous, serve God wholeheartedly.